The outline of the discussion will be the titration process. What are the different types of titration based on the analyte and also with the titrant? What is actually the endpoint and equivalence point? Ano yung difference ng dalawa? The titration process and also basic titration calculations. Okay, so titration is a volumetric analysis in which substances react to a completion, often observed using chemical indicators. So in a titration, we have two parts. Here, dito sa burette natin, we have what you call the titrant. And in a volumetric flask, we have your analyte, sometimes called as the titrant. And D for the analyte and T for the solution that is will be put inside a burette. So again, titrant nasa burette, analyte or titrant nasa brick flask. Your titrant can be an acid. If your titrant is an acid, your analyte should be a base. More likely kapag acid-base titration to ha. If your titrant is an acid, your analyte is a base. But if your titrant now is a base, your analyte should be an acid. So usually ang difference on titrant with an analyte is that your titrant has a known volume. You have a specific volume. And also you know your concentration. There is a known concentration or there is a known in terms of molarity. So alam natin yung molarity ng titrant or alam natin yung concentration ng titrant. While as your analyte or titrant, eh, we know the volume. There is a known volume, but we do not know the concentration of your analyte. So, you have unknown concentration. So, pag sa exam, what is a specific part or what is a specific solution used in titration which has a known volume but it has a known concentration, analyte ang tawag. But for example naman, kapag it is a solution used for titration that has a known volume and also the concentration is also known, titrant yung tawag doon. Again, if your titrant is an acid, your analyte is a base. If your titrant is a base, your analyte is an acid. Again, this is an example lang for an acid-base titration. So, this is what you call neutralization titrations, which is used to determine the amount of an acids and also bases. By adding titrant, for example, your titrant is an sodium hydroxide. Our analyte is, for example, hydrochloric acid. So, by adding sodium hydroxide or titrant to our analyte, so by adding titrant to analyte, so again, your titrant, known concentration, but your analyte is unknown concentration. So we add titrant to analyte until the reaction. Concept here, the reaction is complete. When you say complete, ibig sabihin, dito sa one of the indicator that the reaction is complete, there is a color change. Meaning, you have the amount of your titrant is already enough to neutralize your analyte. Ano ibig sabihin nun? For example, ang analyte natin is hydrochloric acid. We're going to add here an titrant that is sodium hydroxide. What is the point where your analyte is completely neutralized? Meaning, your hydrochloric acid become a salt. For an acid base, or kung baliktad naman, sodium hydroxide ang analyte natin, what is the point? How many volume of an acid is being added to the sodium hydroxide to completely neutralize your sodium hydroxide analyte, and it becomes a salt. So that is a neutralization factor. So again, ulitin lang ni ma'am, what is that specific volume of titrant that is needed, for example, sodium hydroxide, to make your acid analyte neutralize? So when you say neutralize, what is the point where your hydrochloric acid becomes a salt? Opposite also, if you have, for example, a volume of titrant that is an acid, what is that volume of titrant needed to neutralize your analyte to become a salt? So, yun ang kukunin natin. For example, a 20 ml volume of a titrant, of a sodium hydroxide titrant, is needed to completely neutralize your hydrochloric acid. Same as well din, for example, I need 40 ml of a titrant, that is an acid, hydrochloric acid, to completely neutralize our sodium hydroxide. So, ito yung concept natin for an acid-base titration. So, in titration, increments of reagent solutions, the titrant, again, this is what I've discussed. The titrant is added to this analyte until the reaction is complete. What is the indicator? So, there should be a what you call color change. So, from the quantity of titrant needed, for example, I need 20 ml. To at 20 ml, there is already a color change, meaning your analyte is completely neutralized now. So by that, we can calculate the quantity of analyte that must have been present. So again, your analyte has a unknown concentration. So by getting the volume needed of our titrant, you also know the molarity, you can actually compute the concentration ng analyte natin. So later, we will discuss on how we compute the concentration of analyte based on the concentration of your titrant as well as the volume of titrant needed to completely neutralize your analyte. So what are the terms used in titration? So we have an analyte, again, substance with out known concentration or even identity. Pwede rin na tayo magkaroon ng unknown acid. So by that, we can calculate the concentration and also the identity. So titrant, or the what you call the standard, the one that is put inside the urette, substance that has a known concentration and also known volume. We have you call an indicator. Indicators are used to just produce a distinct color at a certain pH. This is the one that would change the color once your analyte reaches neutralization. So we have different indicators based on what specific pH you want to achieve for neutralization. The last two is the equivalence point. It is a point at which your reaction is complete, usually computed using stoichiometry. So ito yung point in titration at which the amount of titrant is already enough to neutralize the analyte solution. So usually, equivalence point, the moles of your base, calculated moles of your base should be equal to the moles of an acid. Then also the endpoint, it is an indicator already that we see the equivalence point. It is actually observed. So ito tag natin color change. So ibig sabihin, for example, nakita mo na yung we already see the color change from colorless, your analyte becomes pink. That light pink is what you call endpoint. That endpoint indicates that we already have the equivalence point where the amount of titrant is already enough to neutralize the analyte of your solution. So those are the connections for these three terms in titration.
Hi, I'm Jared Hyman, an assistant professor of chemistry at Elon University. Today, we will be discussing the proper titration technique using the complete single burette assembly kit available from Carolina Biological Supply Company. This is the first in a two-part video series on titration. The purpose of a titration is to quantitatively determine the concentration of an unknown solution, commonly called the titrand or analyte, by adding a volume of a chemical with a known concentration called the titrant. To mark the endpoint of a titration, an indicator is added to the analyte. Let's review some of the equipment that's needed for a titration. Carolina's complete burette assembly contains the basic equipment to get you started, including a burette, ring stand, and a burette clamp. A burette is a long, narrow, graduated tube used to add titrant. It has a stopcock to regulate the flow of liquid. Notice that the markings on the burette go from lowest at the top to highest at the bottom. The ring stand and burette clamp are used to mount and secure your burette. Other materials you will also need include a small funnel to help you fill the burette, a 125 milliliter Erlenmeyer flask, which works best for titrations. The shape of the flask allows for more vigorous swirling than a beaker or other glassware and minimizes spill hazards. A volumetric pipette and pipette bulb to transfer a known volume of analyte to the flask. A wash bottle filled with deionized water, a beaker or flask of titrant and of analyte, indicator selected for your reaction, a reading card to help read the meniscus, and a sheet of white paper to help visualize the endpoint. To prepare your burette for the titration, it is good laboratory practice to rinse your burette thoroughly with deionized water, then with a small amount of titrant. After each rinse, open the stopcock to allow the liquid to drain out the bottom. If there is a lot of liquid clinging to the walls of the burette, then thoroughly clean your burette and repeat the rinse process. The accuracy of this technique is dependent on the titrant flowing into the flask and not sticking to the walls of the burette. Mount the burette in the clamp, making sure it is positioned vertically and there is enough room to position your flask underneath the tip. Check to see that the stopcock is in the closed position. Insert the funnel into the top of the burette and fill with titrant almost to the top. Filling exactly to the zero mark is not necessary, but you do need sufficient titrant to complete the reaction. Check the column for air bubbles and gently tap to free them from the side walls. Remove the funnel. Place the Erlenmeyer flask under the tip and open the stopcock to allow a few milliliters of titrant to flow through, releasing any trapped air. Rinse the tip of the burette with water. Empty the liquid into a waste container and thoroughly rinse the flask. It is not necessary to dry the flask. Record your starting volume. It is important to accurately read the volume on the burette. First, note that the liquid forms a concave meniscus because the water pulls itself up the side walls of the glass. You should read the volume from the bottom of the meniscus at eye level. Secondly, it is important to read your volume to the correct number of significant figures. This burette indicates volume to the nearest 0.1 milliliters. With any graduated glassware, record the volume to one additional decimal place beyond the smallest graduation. In this case, record the volume to the nearest hundredth of a milliliter, estimating the final place. Use the volumetric pipette to transfer the analyte to the flask. Add a few drops of indicator to the flask and swirl. Place the flask under the tip of the burette. Record this volume. Placing a piece of white paper under the Erlenmeyer flask may make it easier to detect the color change. Operating the burette requires two hands. One hand turns the stopcock, while the other hand swirls the flask. Practice turning the stopcock a few times.
So, as you can see dito sa part na to, parang nagkakaroon siya ng color. So, dapat kapag nagsiswirl, if we swirl your analyte, dapat steady yung color. First one, steady color, siyang pink. Kasi sometimes kapag ini-swirl mo pa siya, there's a color pero it becomes colorless again. So, dapat the end point is it has a steady color. For example, ang gamit natin is phenolphthalein. Phenolphthalein color is actually pink. Parang siyang light pink actually. So, when you swirl it, it should have a steady light pink. So, bawal po ang dark pink, bawal ang fuchsia pink, kailangan light pink or baby pink siya na naka-steady even we are swirling our analyte.
Practice turning the stopcock a few times to familiarize yourself with how quickly the flow starts and stops. It is common laboratory practice that the first titration is an estimate. Open up the stopcock and allow the titrant to enter the flask quickly. Continuously swirl the flask. As the volume of titrant in the flask increases, the color of the indicator appears then disappears as you swirl. When the analyte becomes a colored solution, close the stopcock. Record the final volume of the burette. Subtract the initial volume from this final volume to get the estimated volume of titrant needed for this titration. Knowing the volume that is a little past the endpoint, subtract 5 milliliters from that number to get the amount of titrant that can be safely added before a slower addition is required. As the estimate titration shows, a dark-colored solution indicates an excess of titrant has been added. The desired endpoint.
So, as you can see, you have two meron na siyang ginawang another one. So, yung first one niya is too pink. Sobrang pink na siya. So, it means it is already past the equivalence point. So, sobra-sobra na siya. So, the correct one is that nasa left side, which is a baby pink color. It means it is on the specific equivalent points already.
Is a pale, faintly colored analyte. To reduce the risk of passing the endpoint, slow down the addition of titrant when flashes of color begin to appear in the analyte. Adjust the stopcock to slow the flow of titrant to a dropwise rate. Continue to swirl the flask with one hand and keep the other hand ready to close the stopcock. When you notice the indicator taking longer to fade, close the stopcock. Rinse the tip of the burette with deionized water.
So, yan. Actually, the first experiment in the finance topic is titration. So, you're supposed to have that specific color, which is the very light pink one.
And swirl the flask. Record the final volume on the burette. If the analyte remains faintly colored, then you have reached the endpoint. If the analyte is still colorless, then repeat these steps. Add a drop, rinse, swirl, and record until a faint color persists. Typically, titrations are performed in triplicate. Use the average volume of the titrant required to reach the endpoint for any calculations. You now know how to properly perform a titration.
So, as you can see, equivalent points is where at a certain pH, your analyte is completely neutralized. So, there is enough volume of the titrant to neutralize your analyte. However, if you have too much titrant added, it will be past already the equivalent points. Sa Tagalog, sumobra yung lagay ng titrant. So, this is already a specific error for titration because what you need is just the equivalence point, not the pre-equivalence. Pre-equivalence is that there is already a faint color, but when you swirl, it becomes colorless again. So the color does not stay. So equivalent points, even though you swirl, the faint colors remains. However, the post equivalence, there's a too dark already. Means sobra-sobra na yung titrant natin. So you have different types of your titration process, such as the acid-base titration. This is the normal one. If you have a titrant that is a base, your analyte is an acid. But if your titrant is an acid, your analyte is a base. So this shows a post-equivalence point, and this is the correct equivalent points. Light color, and the color remains even though ini-swirl siya ng matagal. Another example is the complexometric titration. We are actually using here EDTA. Usually in acid base, an indicator, so the one that gives a color to the solution during neutralization process is the phenolphthalein. Indicator is the light pink for this one. Here naman is what you call EDTA. So ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. Usually when your complexometric is titrations of cations via complex formation reagents. This is where a solution that has cations, for example, a specific metal. A metal is binded to an ion molecule. So when you say an ion, most specifically non-metals, that is a big molecule. When metal is bonded to an ion, it forms a complex. Kaya siya tinatawag ng complexometric titration. Another one is the precipitation titration. By the way, an example dito is, for example, you want to bind iron with cyanide. So, it forms complex with cyanide, and as well as ang pinaka-final formation niyan is ferric cyanide. So lastly is the precipitation titration or the titrimetry. At tinatawag na titrimetry, which is the precipitation. Indicator na nagkakaroon ng equivalent points here is from the term itself, nagkakaroon ng precipitates. Instead of color change, precipitates or pamumuo. For example, silver plus a chloride ion during titration, it forms the silver chloride in the form of a white precipitate. Okay, so this is a precipitate titration. And also, last one is the redox titration. We are using oxidizing or reducing agent. Usually, iodometry. So, iodine solution with mixed with a reducing agent. So, the endpoint for this is detected using a starch. Starch yung indicator natin for an iodometry. So, okay, so this is what I've discussed kanina, equivalence point at point which your reaction is complete. How do we determine if it is already in the equivalence point? The keyword that is endpoint. Sa acid-base, it is the color change. Same as well with your complexometric color change din ang endpoint natin. So precipitate, sa titrimetry na tinatawag is the precipitate ang endpoint. Sa last one naman, sa redox, it is also the color change ang endpoint. So these endpoints indicates that there is already an equivalence point. Okay. Next one. Titrators are the mostly organic acids and bases which changes color depending on the pH of the solution. So you have different indicators for neutralization. Phenolphthalein, around pH of 8 to 10 ang neutralization process. Indicator niya is pink. Ang isa pa sa ginagamit is the bromocresol. So one of the most common also is the bromocresol green or the blue. From yellow, it becomes a blue, which is a 4 to 6 pH range for the neutralization process. So these are the specific endpoint and equivalence point. So phenolphthalein, ang endpoint color niya is light pink. So around 8 to 10 nga siya na pH. Another one here, at equivalence point from yellow to blue, so 4 to 6 pH. So there are multiple indicators that can be used in a titration analysis depending on what pH you want. So if you want the pH around 8 to 10, you use phenolphthalein. Titration process. First one, of course, you have to prepare the titrant solution. Ito yung sa experiment 2 natin na pinaprepare ko kayo ng solutions. Yung 0.1 molar na sodium hydroxide, which will be used as titrant natin on the next experiment nyo sa finals topic. So, that 0.1 molar, if you remember, preparation natin is to dissolve your NaOH in hot water or boiled water. So, again, in titration, if you're going to make a titrant for specifically based, kailangan boiled water siya. Next, you have to standardize your titrant concentration. We have to check if that prepared 0.1 molar of sodium hydroxide is still 0.1 molar sodium hydroxide. Then, of course, the titration process. So, in preparing standard acid solutions naman, usually ginagamit natin as is the hydrochloric acid used for the titration of bases. For example, baliktad naman. What is our analyte here? HCl. Anong bases natin? For example, base ang analyte natin. One of the common is the hydrochloric acid. So, acids are frequently standardized against weight quantities of sodium carbonate. So, usually ginagamit ang hydrochloric acid kapag ang base natin ay sodium carbonate or ang analyte natin is sodium carbonate. So, another one for standardizing acid, we also use ATRIS. TRIS is used for standardization of your hydrochloric acid. So, for example, meron kang hydrochloric acid sa burette. So, bago ka muna before we use it for the sodium carbonate, we have to standardize your hydrochloric acid. From the term itself, standardize, we have to check if the molarity or concentration of your acid or even the base is still, for example, this is 0.1 molars. We have to check if you have to standardize, you have to check if that hydrochloric acid is still 0.1 molar. And what we use for standardizing the acid is the TRIS, acting as the analyte. Okay. Next one. Preparing base solution naman, one of the common use as a titrant is the sodium hydroxide. So, common base, potassium hydroxide and barium hydroxide is also used as a titrant. And distilled water should be prepared in a boiled water to eliminate gases, specifically carbon dioxide. What is actually the reason bakit ko siya pina-prepare? Why in your lab manual your sodium hydroxide should be prepared in an HDPE plastic, in a plastic bottle. HDPE. When you say HDPE, yung makapal na plastic bottle. Because bases they tend to corrode with silica. And most of our glass bottles are made of silica. So, if we use a glass bottle, most likely, i-corrode niya yung walls ng glass bottle. Contaminated na yan with silica. That's why we use sodium hydroxide stored it in an HDPE. Also, what are the one that is used to standardize to check the concentration of the base is KHP. Most common. Potassium hydrogen phthalate, pakikabisado po, KHP. Other primary standards is the benzoic acid. However, this is too harmful. Masyado tong harmful sa respiratory system when it is inhaled in large amounts. And that's why we use the KHP. Potassium hydrogen iodate can also be used as a standardization of your bases. So again, first one, store your bases in HDPE. Second one, what actually the reason why in the laboratory you have to put masking tape. If you remember sa lab, after you prepare your solution, specifically sodium hydroxide, you have to put masking tape dun sa takip. May English yung takip ng container. Cover of the container, you should put a masking tape. Because it is prone to carbonate error. Your bases, sodium hydroxide, should not encounter with the carbon dioxide. While, because your carbon dioxide is highly attracted to hydroxide parts of your bases. So when your carbon dioxide is being absorbed by the hydroxide part of your bases, it forms what you call the carbonates. And this actually lessen the concentration. So the more hydroxide part of the base is being removed and turned into carbonates, the more that the concentration of your NaOH or any bases lowers down. So those are the reasons why you should have a masking tape on the cover of your container. Wag din siya i-expose at in a very long time sa open air kasi again nga carbon dioxide. So what are the typical calculations that you have? We'll be using for the titration. Moles of a substance is equals to, this is the moles of substance, is equals to the mass in grams of substance over the molar mass of substance. Another one, moles also can be computed by molarity times the volume. Other calculations, molarity can be calculated by the mass over molar mass times the volume. So another one, you also have your um the dilution factor, which is the initial concentration multiplied by the volume initial is equals to final concentration equals to final concentration. Okay. So it says here in titration experiment, our student finds that 23.48 ml of sodium hydroxide solution are needed to neutralize your 0.568 grams of KHP. So meaning you're going to neutralize your KHP. So who is going to neutralize KHP? NaOH. So this is the titrant. Remember ha, who is going to neutralize KHP? NaOH, that is your titrant. Sino ang inyo-neutralize? Who is going to be neutralized? This is your analyte. Okay. That has a molar mass that is 204.22. So what is the concentration of the molarity of sodium hydroxide solution? So you're going to compute that titrant concentration. So gagawin natin siya ng NaOH plus the KHP forming water. Remember, neutralization, you're forming salt and water. Diba? Pag acid at base pinagsama at neutralization, it forms water and what you call the salt. So, next is the tanggalan natin to ng OH. Tanggalan mo yung isang H. That is your H2O. Ang natira is Ne, K, and P. So, that is your salt. NaCP. Okay. Next one. You have to remember that equivalence point means the mole of base is equals to the mole of acid. Sabihin, the mole of your dichant should be equal to the mole of your analyte. So, meaning in every 1 mole of NaOH, it has an equivalence point. So, yun ang symbol for equivalence point. 1 mole of KHP. So, your mole NaOH is equals to the mole of the KHP. Okay. Next, you have to get the molarity ratio ng KHP versus dun sa mole. So, it says here nga the 1 mole is to 1 mole. So, therefore, ilagay dito yung ratio na yan. So, sinong nasa baba? Since KHP yun na dito, so you're going to write here 1 mole of KHP for cancellation units. Ang nasa taas, 1 mole of NaOH. Next. Since to get actually the mole of your KHP, you have here given grams of 0.5468 grams of KHP and it has a molarity. If you remember, grams versus the molarity that is grams per mole, you can actually get the mole kapag pinag-cancel yung given grams at yung grams doon sa molar mass. So, anong gagawin to get the mole? It is just the mass divided by the molarity. So, pag nilagay natin, 0.5468 grams of KHP divided by the molar mass, which is 204.22 grams per mole. You can now actually cancel. Here, again, the ratio for this one is just 1:1. So, mole NaOH over mole of KHP. Then, compute na. You can calculate now the sodium hydroxide mole. which is, pag in-enter nyo sa calculator itong dalawang to, it will be 2.6775 times 10 raised to negative 3 mole of NaOH. So, now to compute the molarity, this is now the mole, ha? Again, molarity is mole over the liters of solution. So, it is just 2.6775 times 10 raised to negative 3 mole divided by the liters of this one, which is just 0.02348 liters. Now you get 0.1114 moles of liters or 0.114 molars of sodium hydroxide. So meaning we need, okay, so in interpretation, interpret natin, we need 23.48 ml of the 0.114 molar sodium hydroxide to neutralize 0.5468 grams of the KHP. So, this is our final interpretation for the problem. Okay? Next, how many grams of KHP are needed to neutralize 18.64 ml of 0.104 molar sodium hydroxide solution? So here, you're going to compute naman the grams, baliktad, of the KHP to neutralize the 18.64 ml of 0.104 molars of sodium hydroxide. Again, KHP pa din. So you write sodium hydroxide plus the KHP forming, gawa ka agad ng H2O, tanggal yung OH at isang H, meaning H2O yon. Ang natira is Na. Ang natira dito is Kp. So your salt is actually the NaC Kp. Then, again, equivalence point as always, 1 mole sodium hydroxide equivalence with 1 mole of KHP. So, kapag kinumpute the mole of KHP, okay, so wala tayong direct to gram. So, mole muna compute natin kasi itong pinakamabilis na comparison unit is equal to the mole of NaOH, which has the given. Again, molarity ratio, NaOH lang nandito. Nasa baba ngayon si 1 mole NaOH. Nasa taas ngayon si 1 mole KHP. Then, we're going to use the, to get the mole, given yung molarity ngayon, and again, another unit here is mole per liters. Given si volume that can be converted back to liters, which is 0.01864 liters. So, pwede natin gawa ng paraan. We can actually use this alternative to cancel the liters. At mole lang yung matira. So, what is going to happen here now is 0.1004 mole over liters times 0.01864 liters times 1:1. So we can now actually cancel the liters. Now the mole of your KHP is 1.8715 times 10 raised to negative 3. That is mole of KHP. Now the question is, you have to convert it back to grams. So again, diba, you can compute the mole by the formula mole equals to mass divided by the molarity. So, since we have a given here that is mole. Balik na rin lang natin yung formula, cross multiply. Our new formula is mass equals mole times the molarity. So it is just 1.8715 times 10 raised to negative 3 mole times the 204.22 na molar mass ng KHP. So now the grams is 0.3822 grams of KHP. So meaning, we need 0.3822 grams of KHP to neutralize that 18.64 ml of a 0.1004 molars of sodium hydroxide. It says here how many liters of 0.610 molars of sodium hydroxide solution are needed to neutralize now 20 ml of 0.245 H2SO4 solutions. What is needed here is ml, NaOH plus the H2SO4 forming, gawa ka muna ng water, H2O, tanggal to. Tanggal ka ng isang H dito. So, -1. So, yun. So, ang natira is the Na, tapos isang H, tapos SO4. The problem is, sodium is, okay, so the problem is, here now, this is a, kapag this is a complex compound. So, ionic compound specifically. Kapag chinek mo ang, okay, so the problem now here is there is no compound that is NaHSO4. Walang ganong compound. So, usually, it is just the metal versus the non-metal. So, you're going to remove the H here. So, gawin natin siya ulit NaSO4. So, what you're going to do, that one specific H, you have to write here, increase it. Taasan natin yung 2 na yan. Then, for this one, since magka-combine yan into compound, this is group number 1 sa periodic table. This has actually a charge that is, oxygen has a charge of 2. So, 2 negative. Cross multiply lang sila. Bagong compound natin is an Na2SO4. So, kapag gagawin natin siya, using natin, again, NaOH plus H2SO4. Yes, kailangan natin mag-balance dito, guys. 2H2O plus the Na2SO4. So, you have to balance here. So, sige, NaO plus H. Any reactant is isa. Dito is 2. Oxygen here is 4 plus 1, 5. Oxygen here is 2 plus 4, 6. H here is 3. 1 plus 2, 3. 2, 4. Here, 4. TCS, pinaka-lowest one is the sodium. So, times 2 equals 2. The multiplier will be put here. So, your oxygen now becomes 2 plus 4, 6. Pantay na. Hydrogen becomes now 2 plus 4, 4. So, balance na equation natin. So, now we'll be using this equation, which is, so let's go, let 2 NaOH plus the sulfuric acid now forming sodium sulfate plus the 2 moles of water. Next one. So, meaning there is 2 mole here of sodium hydroxide. Here, we cannot assume now that there is 1:1. Kasi kanina, assumably 1 mole to 1 mole, 1 mole to 1 mole. However, this one, i-use pa rin natin yung coefficients. So, 2 moles ng the base times the versus to the moles of the sulfuric acid as well. So, meaning, mole of NaOH can be computed. Again, millimeters muna. So, pinakamadali is to get the moles first. Is equal to the mole of H2SO4 multiplied, again, molar ratio lang. Nasa baba ang H2SO4, sa taas ang 2 moles of NaOH. So, since here you cannot compute the mole muna, we're going to use the new formula which has the molarity times the volume. Ito ang gagamitin natin, which is the molarity of the H2SO4 times the volume of the H2SO4. Again, ang ginamit nating formula is the mole is molar times the volume, or concentration times the volume, multiplied by the mole ratio. So, if you're going to equate here now, since mole din to, kung paano ginawa dito sa mole H2SO4, ito rin yung ilalagay natin. So, it is also the molars of the NaOH multiply the volume of the H2SO4. So, meaning, volume. Now, ang hinahanap natin is the specific multiplied by the volume of NaOH. Papalabasin. So, nakalabas yung volume of NaOH. So, we have to divide this both sides by the molarity of NaOH, then molarity of NaOH to actually cancel. So, your new formula is volume NaOH is equals to molars of sulfuric acid times the volume of sulfuric acid is equals to molars of NaOH. So, it is just 2 times the molar ratio. So, pag in-equate natin yan, this is actually the 0.245 molars times the 20 ml. Here naman, it doesn't need na kung if naka-liter, liter. Since it is on a ml, then milliliters na yung hanap. As is, we use the milliliters. But if it is a liter at liter yung hanap, you have to convert back to liter. Next is the 0.610 molars na NaOH natin. So, multiply the ratio of 2 is of 1. So, when you equate this one, your final answer is 16.07 ml NaOH. So, ang interpretation for this one, we need 16.07 ml of 0.16 molar NaOH solution to neutralize the 20 ml of 0.25 molars ng sulfuric acid. Okay? Next one, this is still an ml. Milliliters of baliktad. 1.28 molars ng sulfuric needed to neutralize that 60.02 ml of 0.427 KOH. So, we have here H2SO4 plus 2 KOH. Ito gagawin ko na. Kayo na lang bahalang mag-interpret on how you were able to make this one. But on how did I make this one, same as well with this one. Plus 2H2O. Okay? Next one. Since 1 is to 2. So in every 1 mole of H2SO4, there is an equivalence point of 2 mole of KOH. So, compute mole of H2SO4 can be computed first by the mole of the KOH times. So, bakit po ang nandito sa pinaka-right side is the mole of KOH? Because it is the one that has a given. Why it is the mole of H2SO4 is on the left side of the solution? Because it is the one being asked on the problem. Kaya siya ganun. So, 1 mole of H2SO4 over 2 mole of the KOH. So, same as well, milliliters tayo with the concentration. Convert muna natin yung part na to into molars or molarity of H2SO4 times the volume of H2SO4 equals, convert din natin to, molars of the KOH times the volume of the KOH using the mole ratio now, which is 1:2. So, what we're going to find is the milliliters, divide both sides of molars of H2SO4, molars of H2SO4. Divide. So, your new formula is volume of H2SO4 is equals to concentration of KOH times the volume of KOH times 1/2 ratio divided by the molars of H2SO4. Input all the data. Molar of KOH is this one, 0.427 molars times the volume, 60.2 ml. Then, the molarity ngayon ng sulfuric, which is 1.28 molars. Huwag kakalimutan yung ratio ng 1 times the 1:2. So, equals ngayon is 10.04 ml. So, we need 10.04 ml of that 1.28 molars of sulfuric to neutralize the 60.2 ml of 8.427 KOH solution. Okay? Next one. So this one, we have 5 grams of diprotic acid. Diprotic. It means it has 2 hydrogens. So, di ba, acid is defined as HA. So, when you define a diprotic acid, it is H2A. Paano pag triprotic? H3A. Tatlong hydrogen. So, for this one, diprotic, H2A. So, dissolve in water and made up to exactly 250 ml. Calculate the molar mass of the acid if you have 25 ml of this solution. Required 11.1 ml of 1.0 molars of KOH for neutralization. Meaning, you have an analyte that is you have an analyte that is a diprotic acid. And when you use it for neutralization, you we need 11.1 ml of 1 molar ng titrant that is KOH para magkaroon ng neutralization process. So this is your KOH na titrant. Tapos ang nasaan na natin is the acid, which is the H2A. We have 11.1 ml of this KOH na 1 molar used to titrate this acid into neutralization. What you're going to calculate now is the molar mass of that acid. So, kapag siya ay kinompute, H2A plus 2KOH is yielding now 2H2O plus the K2A. So, Hindi ko na-explain. Bahala na kayo gumawa ng pinaka-equation nyo. So, H2A times volume ng H2A equals, convert back to the molarity of H2A. So, molarity of KOH times volume of the KOH times the 1:2. So, what going to use now is to get the molarity first. So, divide both sides by VH2A to cancel volume, VH2A. Now, your formula for the molarity is molarity H2A is equals to molarity of KOH, volume of KOH divided by the volume of H2A times 1:2 ratio. So, pag kinompute yan, molarity ng KOH is actually 1.0. Volume ng KOH is actually 11.1. Ito siya. So, the volume of the H2A is the one that is used for the neutralization. It is not the 250, it is the 25. Kasi 25 of that acid required 11.1 ml of the 1 molar KOH. That's why that is the volume that we're going to use. So, divided by the 25 ml times the 1:2 ratio. So, now the molarity of your H2A is actually 0.222 molars, which is the titrated molarity. So here now, although 25 aliquot was titrated, so now, let's take note that although 25 ml aliquot was titrated, the concentration of the 25 ml is actually the same of that 250 ml because there is no dilution that is made on the process. Kumuha ka lang ng 25 ml dun sa 250 ml at yun yung ginamit for the titration. So, however, we were going to use now the volume, which is VL, which is 250, forgetting the molar mass. Since this is where the 5 grams is being dissolved completely. Diba? First, you dissolve 5 grams and 250. Now, your 250, kumuha ka lang dyan ng 25 ml. At yung 25 ml, yun yung ginagamit for the titration ng NaOH. So, mula sa 25 ml na molarity, we're going to compute back pabalik to that 250 ml because originally, that 5 grams is dissolved here sa 250 ml. We're going to use to compute the molarity na with your H2A. Paano siya kukumputin? So, what we're going to use now for this calculation is as 1. Molar of with grams over the molar mass times volume. So, we need to use this for the formula. We have to get this molar. We need to get this molar mass. So, again, mass, molar, again, molars equals to grams over the molarity times volume. Cross multiply first. So, molars times the molar mass times the volume is equals to gram. Now, you have to get that molar mass or the mm. So, divide both sides by the molar and the volume. So, your new formula is molarity is equals to grams over the molar concentration times the volume. So, yun ang gagamitin natin for this one. Now, so it will now become a formula that is molar mass of that H2A is equals to the mass of the H2A divided by the concentration of the H2A times the volume of the total volume of the H2A in liters. Okay? Kasi ang kasama natin ngayon dito ay molarity. Ang molarity ay naka-liters. So, 5 grams ginamit for the diprotic acid. The molarity of that computed is 0.222 molars. Multiply the liters of the first solution of acid, which is 0.25 liters. So, 5 grams divided by the 0.22 molar times the 0.25 liters. So, now our molar mass of the H2A is actually 90.09 grams per mole. Okay? Okay, another one. So we have a 20 ml sample of barium hydroxide solution titrated now with 0.25 molars of hydrochloric acid. So if 27.5 ml of that hydrochloric acid is required to reach that equivalence point, what is the molarity of your barium hydroxide solution? So what is the molarity of your barium hydroxide solution? Molarity ulit, you can use the N equals to molars times the volume or the concentration times the volume. Okay? So, gawan nyo din siya ng equation. Again, bahala na kayo kung paano kayo gagawa. Paano to nakuha. Diniscuss ko na to kanina. H2O. So, here, in every 1 mole of barium hydroxide, there is an equivalence of 2 moles of hydrochloric acid. So here, what is being asked is the barium hydroxide. So, ito yung nakalabas as mole. So, we have here as mole of barium hydroxide equals the mole of the hydrochloric acid times the 1 mole ratio of PaOH2 over the 2 mole of HCl. Again, it is down kasi to cancel the HCl. So, convert this part into concentration of PaOH2 multiplied by the volume of PaOH2 equals to, convert this one to concentration also of hydrochloric times the volume of hydrochloric acid. Then times 1 is to 2. Now, what I need is molarity. So, the molars. So, divide both sides now by the volume of PaOH2. Volume of PaOH2. So, we can now cancel this. Our new formula is molars of the PaOH2 can be calculated by the molars of the hydrochloric times the volume of the hydrochloric divided by the volume of the barium hydroxide times 1 is to 2 ratio. So, the molars of your HCl is actually 0.245 m. The volume of your HCl is 27.15 ml. Now, the volume of barium hydroxide is 20 ml. Times the 1 is to 2. So, makakancel naman yung ml dito, matitira lang yung molars. Now, the polarity of barium hydroxide is 0.166 molars. Ba hydroxide. Okay? Next one, last 2 problems. A 0.1276 grams of an unknown monoprotic acid was dissolved in 25 ml of water and titrated with 0.63 molars of sodium hydroxide. The volume of the base required to bring the solution to that equivalence was 18.4. Unknown monoprotic, mono lang, considered as HA. Titrated, so NaOH, ito is our HA. So 25 ml. Concentration nito is 0.0633 molars. Now, calculate the molar mass of the acid. You have to identify the molar mass of this one. Anong gagawin? So, first one, sa number 1 muna, HA plus the NaOH, you'll be forming the salt plus the water. So, next, since 1 mole of HA equivalents dapat siya into 1 mole of NaOH also since 1 lang nandito. Then, for this one, we have to find the molar mass for this one. So, mole of HA is equals to mole of NaOH times the ratio of 1 mole HA na sa pagpasing 1 mole NaOH. Next one, convert back it all to. So our formula for this one is the yung ginamit natin kanina, which is the molarity. Since we are finding the molar mass, we are using and direct usage. We did not use direct usage of the grams dissolved in that specific 25 ml. We did not get on that 25 ml. So we're going to use directly the formula. Molar mass is the grams over the molarity times volume. So pag ginayos yun, di ba? Molarity is equals to the grams over the molars times the volume. So if we're going to use it now here, so molar mass of HA can be computed as the mass of HA divided by the concentration, the big M, of the sodium hydroxide times the volume of sodium hydroxide, where it has 1:1. So, kung i-compute siya, 0.1276 grams divided by 0.0633 molars times the 0.1814 liters times 1:1. Okay? So, ang computed na natin for the molar mass ng HA is equals to 105.55 grams per mole of that HE as molar mass. Now, our second problem is, what if after the addition of 10 ml of base during the titration in your analyte, you have determined that the pH is 5.87. What is the Ka of that unknown acid? So we have to calculate the Ka for this one. So the volume now here is actually 10 ml, which is very less than the endpoint volume needed, which is 18.4. It is less than the 18.4 ml. Meaning, again, if it is less than, it is what you call the pre-equivalence point. Pag it is more than the titrated, the equivalence point, it is post-equivalence. Pero dahil it is less than, it is at the pre-equivalence point of the buffer system. So how do we compute? It deals with pH and Ka, so you have to use now the pH equals to pKa plus the logarithm of the conjugate base divided by the acid. So, this one determined by the moles of titrant. HA should be determined by the acid moles minus the titrant moles. So, kung kagaya ito dun sa experiment natin, sa experiment number 4. So, try muna natin mag-compute for this one. So, since here, a given is pH, pKa, the Ka is not given. Again, Ka can be computed from the pKa. So the formula here, papalabasin natin yung pKa. So, pag pinalabas yan, inayos, in-arrange yung formula natin. So, now it becomes, syempre, lilipat to sa kabila. Sige. It will become the pKa, lipat sa kabila, pH minus the logarithm of the A minus the HA. So, input natin. So, magiging siya ay... Okay, now let's actually try to input the values. pH, so pKa is equal, so pH natin is 5.87 minus the logarithm of the conjugate base muna, which is equivalent to the moles of the titrant. Originally, the molars of your NaOH is M. So, M can be classified also as mole over liter. At ang bagong volume natin ng base is 10. So, can be calculated to liter. Para makukuha lang yung moles, kailangan i-multiply si liter na to dito sa molarity na to, which is also mole over liters. Para mole lang yung matira. So, what happens here is the 0.0633 mole over liters multiplied by the new volume, which is 0.01 liters. Over now with acid moles minus the titrant moles. So, originally, given ng grams, at ang molarity natin for the, how do you get with the moles naman? So, since hindi given pala ang molarity natin, what we're going to do is, grams ang given, the calculated molar mass kanina is 109.55 grams per mole. We can actually get the mole. Since grams to grams to, division tayo. So again, if you're going to have the liters and also the molarity, to get the mole, multiply. Pero kapag ang given ay grams, tapos molar mass, you have to actually divide. So, mangyayari here, 0. Ano naman tita yung 10. 0.1276 grams ng acid divided by the molar mass, which is 1.955 grams per mole. So you can see, cancel, 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 cancel. Minus now the titrant moles, which is, you just have to copy yun nasa taas. 0.0633 mole times the 0.01 liters. Now, kapag in-equate yung buong solution na yan, we have to get now the pKa. Your pKa value is actually 5.79. Again, pKa lang yan. How do you get the Ka? So, how do you get the Ka? So, it is just the Ka antilog raised to the negative pKa. So, check na natin. 10, antilog raised to negative 5.79. What we get for the Ka value is actually, Ka is 1.61 times 10 raised to negative. Times 10 raised to negative 6. So, that is the answer for the number 2. Okay? O, last one na pala to, ang haba. Oh, pareho lang on how do we answer the first one. yung last one. I have a 500 ml potassium chloride solution was prepared by dissolving potassium chloride in distilled water of 25 ml. So, distilled water. Potassium chloride in distilled water. 25 ml of that solution was titrated with 0.300 molar silver nitrate. 28.9 ml of silver nitrate was required to reach the endpoint of titration. This is my silver nitrate. So this is my analyte, which is the potassium chloride solution. So that has the 25 ml. Next one, it is titrated by 0.300 molars of the silver nitrate. At ang nailagay rito is what we need is 28.9 ml of the silver nitrate to reach the endpoint of the titration. The question is, what is the number of moles of potassium chloride present in that 500 original volume? So, meron na tayong equation. So, KCl2 silver nitrate. What is being has here is the potassium chloride. So, therefore, 1 mole KCl should have equivalence to 1 mole silver nitrate. Next one. Mole of KCl is actually should be equal to mole of silver nitrate times the mole ratio. Just 1 mole KCl is equals to 1 mole silver nitrate. Next one. Since moles ang hinahanap, we have to get first the molarity. Kasi from the molarity, you can get the moles. Diba moles over liter siya. So, convert back it first into molars of KCl times volume of KCl, molars of silver nitrate times volume of silver nitrate. Why do we convert back to molars? Kasi given dito yung molars ng silver nitrate, pati yung volume ng silver nitrate, pati yung another volume for the KCl na ginamit. So, times the 1:1 ratio. Divide both sides by the volume of KCl to get the new formula. Our new formula is MKCl equals M silver nitrate times volume of silver nitrate divided by volume of KCl is equals to 1:1. Input natin lahat. So, silver nitrate ko is 0.3 molars. Volume ko is 28.90 ml. Another volume ko is 25 ml. Yung ginamit during the titration is 25 ml. So, no need to convert back to liters kasi magka-cancel naman. Our final answer should be in molars times the 1:1 ratio. Now, the molars of KCl is actually 0.3468 molars KCl. So, since the 25 ml is just an aliquot, kinuha siya from the, when you say aliquot, it is directly from the 500 ml. It is not diluted, again, directly from the 500 ml, aliquoted. So, it is safe to say that molarity at 500 ml solution is also 0.3468 molar. Since again, it is an aliquot, it is not a diluted volume. So, we're going to use now the formula, which is the molar is equals to moles over the volume of the origin. So, magiging, you have to get that mole, papalabasin. So, molars times volume of orig equals moles. So our new formula now is this one. Molars natin is 0.3468. Molars is mole over liters. Next, the original volume is 500. Again, naka-liter si molars as always. Para ma-cancel, you have to convert it into liters. Cancel, cancel. Your final answer for this one, the mole of KCl is actually 0.1734 mole of KCl. So this is our final answer. Okay? Actually, kung kabisado nyo lang yung formulas, sasagutan nyo to. First one, identify kung sino yung titrant, sino yung analyte. Gawan siya ng chemical equation, i-balance. Then, use the formulas needed. Okay? For example, dito, what you actually need here is the moles. So, we cannot get the moles directly. So, kunin mo muna yung molarity volume, which you can interpreted as molars times volume is equal to molars sa volume ng titrant times the ratio. Pag nakuha mo na yung molars, gamitin mo tong another formula na to get the moles. This one also, this one naman, kapag ang question is using a specific volume, merong pH and the Ka. Kailangan talaga itong pKa is equals to pH minus the logarithm of the conjugate base over the acid. So this one naman, again, molar volume lang din. Molar volume equals to molar volume times the mole ratio lang din for this one. Already discussed that buffer solution can assist changes in pH even acids or bases are being added to it. So, we're going to use most likely the Henderson-Hasselbalch equation, which is the pH can be calculated by pKa plus logarithm of your conjugate base over the acid or conjugate acid over the base. So, first one here, sabi dito, sodium hypochlorite, NaOCl, which is the active ingredient, ito ginagamit sa mga bleaches, Sonrox, Clorox, was dissolved in a solution that has buffered up to a pH of 6.20. Find the ratio of its OCl over the HOCl in this solution. So this is an acid buffer, sodium hypochlorite. So this is its conjugate base and the acid part. So same lang din. So we are going to use pH equals pKa plus logarithm ng conjugate base over the acid. Okay, so ang pKa ng isang hypochlorite, titingnan nyo lang to sa list of pKa value. Nandun yun sa chapter 4. Ang pKa ng sodium hypochlorite is around 7.53. So, we're going to compute. So, pH niya is 6.20 daw. Ang pKa ng NaOCl ay 7.53 plus logarithm ng conjugate base over the acid. So, this one, yung mga same values, pagsamahin lang. So, negative 6.20, lipat natin yung 7.53, magiging negative 7.53 minus, plus 6.20 equals log of OCl over HOCl. So, this one is negative 1.33 equals log of OCl over HOCl. So, Kabaliktad yan ng logarithm is actually the antilog. Para matanggal tong part nito, antilog of negative 1.33. Which is, ang sagot ay 0.047. So this is the ratio of the OCL HOCL. 0.047 over 1. Okay? O, ganun lang. Para lang siyang anti-log raised to pH minus pKa. Yun ang pinaka-shortcut for this one. Find the pH of a 1 liter aqueous solution prepared. Okay. 12.43 grams ng tris. Tapos ang molar mass niya is 121.135. Tapos 12.43 grams ng tris plus 4.67 grams na tris hydrochloride. Okay, or 3HCl. Tapos, ang pKa ng 3HCl is actually 8.075. So, we're going to find the pH. First, let's get the moles of the tris. So, kung 12.43, yun yung una nyo gagawin. Mole of tris. So, kung 12.43 grams ng tris, tapos meron kang molar mass, diba? Makukuha mo yung mole. So, divided by 121.135 grams per mole of tris. Tama ba? So, kuha tayo ng ibang color. Cancel. Magiging mole nga siya. So, magiging, calculate ko lang. 12.43 divided by 121.135 is around 0.1026 mole of tris. Okay? Same as well, na gagawin mo naman with HCl is 2 is mole of tris HCl is meron kang 4.67 grams tris HCl over molar mass niya ito. So, 157.596 grams per mole tris HCl. Wait. Cancel para maging mole lang siya. Compute natin. So, 4.67 divided by 157.596. So, we have 0.0296 mole of tris HCl. So, now let's get the molarity nito. Since meron ka ng mole, meron ka namang given na liters. O, diba? Then, number molarity. So, 0.1026 mole tris divided by 1 liter. Of course, 0.1026 molars of tris. Same din dito, 0.029 mole, 6 mole over 1 liter equals 0.0296 molars of tris HCl. Next, Henderson-Hasselbalch lang din yan. So, pH is equals to pKa ng isang tris HCl is around 0.75 daw. 8.075 plus log of conjugate base is yung tris natin. So, 0.1026 molars. Acid natin is yung ma-HCl, of course. Ito siya, 0.0296 molars. So, kapag kinompute yan, 8.0775 plus logarithm ng ano to? 0.1026 divided by 0.0296, meron kang pH o 8.61. So, ayan lang. So, kunin nyo muna yung molarity ng 3 and the 3HCl. Tapos, saka nyo input dun sa Henderson-Hasselbalch equation. Okay? Next, if you add 12 ml of 1 molar hydrochloric acid to the solution in your previous example, dito, what will be the new pH? Kanina, it's around 1026 moles. So 3HCl is around 0.0296 moles. Ngayon, ang gagawin ko dito, mag-a-ice ako. So, si 3, tapos HCl dinagdag, tapos naging 3HCl. So, ICE, initial mole ng 3 is 0.1026. Si 3HCl ay 0.0296 moles. Ngayon, si HCl na idadagdag, anong mole niyan? So, can be computed from this one. So, di ba, molarity is equals to moles over liters. So, kung ito ay ilan to in liters? 12 divided by 1,000. Okay. So, ito ay 0.012 liters. So, 0.012 liters, tapos 1 molar. Yung moles ka dito. So, cross multiply 1 times 0.012 equals moles. So, ang moles ng HCl mo ay 0.012 moles. So, dito, 0.012. So, ngayon, you're adding HCl to the solution. So, this is just, at yung pinaka-acid mo. So, 0.012 minus 0.012. This is the final offer. So, plus 0.012. So, pag inad to, magiging 0 to. Inad to, 0.0906. Ito din, pag inad, 0. Ilan to? 0.0416. Ayan lang din. Henderson formula, pH equals pKa niya, again, it's 8.075. 8.075 plus logarithm of 3 muna kasi yung conjugate base mo. So, yung 0.0906 over the new 3HCl, which is 0.0416. Tapos, pag kinompute yan sa CalQ, ang pH natin is 8.41. Which is just a small change in pH kasi dito, ang pH natin, diba, is around 8.61. Doon nung dinagdagan mo ng acid na 1 molar, mas bumaba lang ng konti ng pH. So, pH is 8.41. Okay? Okay, last one. How many milliliters of 0.500 molars ng NaOH should be added to the 10 grams of this hydrochloride to give a pH of 760 in a final volume of 250 ml? Nag-ice din ako dito actually. So, how many moles of 3HCl? So, di ba, 3HCl should be equimolar to the moles of its conjugate base or the 3's, which is the conjugate base. So, kailangan natin muna makuha yung moles ng 3HCl. So, meron kang grams dito. Tapos, meron naman tayong molar mass ng 3's kanina. Molar mass ng 3's ay Ito, 120. Ay, so meron tayong molar mass ng 3HCl. So, ito siya kanina. So, ang gagawin natin, 10 grams divided by the molar mass, which is 157.59 grams mole of 3HCl. Pag kinumpute to, it's around 0.0635 moles ng 3. Okay, next, what I'm going to do is to get na, I think first one, moles. Number 2, kukunin ko yung molar ratio ng buffer natin. So, this over this HCl. So, ang kanyang pH is 7.60. So, pH equals to pKa plus logarithm of the 3's conjugate base over the acid. Kunin natin yung molar ratio na to. So, equals pKa na 8.075. Ito siya. Plus logarithm, again, ng 3's over 3's HCl. So, ang pinaka-shortcut ng formula na to is just antilog. So, pag nilipat to, negative 8.075 plus 7.60 plus log of 3's HCl. So, magiging negative 8.075 plus 7.60 ay negative na. Plus negative 0.475 equals log 3 over 3 HCl. Tapos, para makuha yung molar ratio, pag nilipat to, antilog. So, 10 raised to negative 0.475. Ang molar ratio natin is 0.335. Yan yung molar ratio natin. Gagamitin natin to later. So, barin ko muna. So, meron na tayong moles natin na nakompute kanina. It's 0.0635 moles. Tapos, meron na din tayong molar ratio, which is 0.335 for the 3HCl molar ratio. Now, kunin na natin yung parang magiging equation natin for this one to get the volume. So, ice actually, ginagawa ko dito. So, moles of BH. So, base plus hydrogen. So, pinaka-moles natin is 0.0635. Wala naman tayong given for 0, 0. So, I, C, negative X lang dito. So, tapos pag buffer kasi hindi natin kailangan lagi yung nasa gitna, kaya 0. So, positive X. Parang kagaya ng sa dito, hindi natin kailangan yung nasa gitna. Automatic it's 0. So, ito lang kailangan natin dalawa. So, kapag in-equate natin yung equation, iba to sa sa ICE method ng, this is only for specific for buffer. So, 0.0635 minus x. Tapos ito ay x. So, kung i-equate natin itong dalawang to sa solution, so, molar ratio is equals to ito, part na to, H over the BH. So, magiging, anong molar ratio? 0.335 equals x over 0.065 minus x. So, kapag kinompute yan,
So, 0.0635, 0.0635 times 0.85, meron akong 0.02127 minus 0.335 x equals x. So, pag ilipat, 0.02127 equals 1.335x divided by 1.335 x is equals to 0.0159. So that is the moles of the sodium hydroxide that is added to your solution. So ito yung pinaka-moles natin. What is the liters? So, syempre, may moles ka na, may molars ka dito. Pwedeng 0.500. Di ba molars is also equivalent to moles over liters? So, cancel. Ang liters natin is 0.0. Okay, 0.032 liters. Ito yung sagot natin for this one. So, you need 0.032 liters of 0.500 molar sodium hydroxide to be added to your 10 grams of grease para yung maging grease natin ay 7.60